Okay, αρχικά να ευχαριστήσω τη διοργάνωση που μου δίνει την ευκαιρία να μιλήσω και με ψήρα και με μικρόφωνο. Αν έβγαινα τρίτη φορά δεν θα έχω την ευκαιρία. Θα ήθελα να βγω με χιλόφωνο τύπου Britney Spears. Γελάσατε, οπότε είμαστε όλοι πάνω από 30 σε αυτό το δωμάτιο, έτσι. Τέλεια. Λοιπόν, okay, so obviously you are following a high-risk strategy in your channel, right? So my question, and coming from many marketeers, is how do you convince the people on the top of the chain that this is the way to go, and how do they get behind you on that?
There was very little convincing, and it goes to the point I made at the end. We have the privilege of having a CEO who is quite disruptive in his own manner, and a team of people who are already comfortable with this style of communication. So there are a set of policies in place. It's not an exhaustive list. But once we comply with those rules, we have a license, and I have been given the license and the luxury to deliver on a strategy that they've bought into. So it's a little bit easier, and it's a hard one to answer for everyone else. And as I said, I do empathize, because you all want to deliver the best on your platforms. You all want to express the brand in the most creative way on the platforms in the right way. But you've got a lot of challenges from directors, C-suite people, and people above who just don't get it, and they're not comfortable with letting go and letting the people who do understand it win. Once you have shape and a strategy, and not just a list of tactics, show that you're actually solving genuine business problems in a very creative way, you can find probably ways to buy in a bit more, but it is not easy, and I do empathize.
Cool. There are a few things that explain why your TikTok account was successful, right? It comes, to strategy, it comes to execution, it comes to, way of thinking, it comes to the way that you express your truth. If you had to single out one, what would that be?
It's luck.
Oh, it's luck. Okay.
I'm sorry, it's luck. Again, I'm not going to fill people with bullshit. We got in early. I could rattle all that out, but it's luck. Nobody truly understands the algorithm, and if they do, they're talking bullshit. People are trying to sell you snake oil half the time, and I know this is why people and agencies get uncomfortable when I speak about these things, but it's the truth. Everything depends. If anybody asks me how do you win or lose on social, it depends on so many factors, and you have to go through a series of questions to get to those insights or opportunities where you need to solve, and social could be that way of doing it. But it's luck.
Luck of the Irish.
Maybe.
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 Awesome. Okay. If there was an opportunity to have a say what the platform develops further, for you to be more creative or more effective, what would that be?
It's a difficult one to answer. There are certainly two things that irate me at the moment is, can we please, where are those TikTok reps? I can look them in the eyes. Can we please get rid of CapCut trending templates on the bloody platforms? We know you owned CapCut. We know this is another revenue stream or business model for you. More than likely you're going to set up a free and a paid version that you want to sell, and you're throwing it into the feeds because you own them. Stop. It's irritating the fuck out of everybody. Aside from that, be clever with your advertising. You've created such an amazing platform, that we need to be careful that you don't make the mistakes of others, and try and keep it as a vibrant creative space, and don't let advertising ruin the platform. We understand you need to make money. Maybe CapCut is the way, so I might let it go a little, but we have to make sure that you keep it as close to what it needs to be, or else you're going to find other brands or other platforms who are going to come along, and you're going to say goodbye to your audience, just like Meta and others.
How do you envision the future of your TikTok account? Is it a roadmap that you're willing to follow, or you're going to go with flow and be reactive to what you find in front of you?
We're trying to figure that out. It's a big challenge for us at the moment. We're almost at that peak of the graph that we spoke about, and we're starting to see a decline. We're not getting the 10 million video views off one video that we used to, and we're obsessed with figuring out why, but we have to accept that there are certain things that platforms are doing to generate more revenue, and it's a more saturated playground, so we don't have that freedom to get the access to trends, because the algorithm wants to give everyone else a shot at getting attention in order for them to make more content and keep that belt going. So we're trying to figure that out. We're trying to figure out whether we continue with actually using trends as the central way of finding those opportunities to get as much reach as possible, or whether the route of original content can be one of those ways. I think people asked questions earlier around the different genres or different age demographics on the platforms, because it's changing too. And one thing that scares me is we all talk about Gen Zs today, and Gen Zs are these young audience. But Gen Zs are in their mid to late 20s now. They're not young anymore. You've got Gen Alphas behind the way, and they're not even on these platforms. They might be on TikTok and DM and on Snapchat, but they're in the likes of Discord and other places, which are going to be a tricky way to reach and engage with people. So we're looking at ways to re-evolve ourselves. We're looking at ways, if, say, our current account is reaching a saturation point and we're not willing to invest money on using creators or paid media, we might look at creating a second channel which appeals to a different style of audience. The example being, the current one is trend entertainment led, predominantly a young enough audience, but we would probably look at ways that, okay, how could we look at the travel conscious people who are looking at and searching for content? It may well be a part SEO, part entertaining play as well, but we're looking at potentially going down the route of the travel vertical, where we create destination content in our way, of course, which would reach more people. There may be a crossover where both accounts hit the same person on the For You page, which is great. Extra recall, extra reach. But we might reach a new audience altogether. So as we see a decline on, say, the original channel, we find ways to keep the weight of reach up and the performance up by looking at other methods. So there's a couple of examples of what we're kind of looking at the moment before we put our hand in our pocket and spend money, which we don't like doing.
Cool. Was there, in this journey, a point where you thought, okay, this has a good chance to go sideways?
All the time. And it's not just on TikTok, it's everywhere. There's plenty of stories. And again, I go back to the luxury. We have the ability to learn in a live environment, and we make mistakes. We make a lot of them, and there have been moments where that has happened. Sometimes we delete it, and sometimes we wear it with honor, and we learn from it in a very important way. I think there's one particular video that even internally made a lot of people nervous, on TikTok in particular. It was built around, even though you complain, you still return and fly with us. And it was with the sound from, what's that show on Amazon? The superheroes? The Boys, that's it. That evil laugh, and that absolutely exploded. But most people got the dark humor of it. They got what we were trying to do, but many didn't. And it didn't go down well at first, but it took a lot of convincing as to why it was an interesting and bold move. That certainly was on the line. I can give you another example if you want, but it's not TikTok, it's Twitter. Around the time of I think the rumors of Prince Harry and Prince William, Prince William was out in the tabloids over an interesting pastime he liked to endeavour in. I won't say it, I'll let you Google it maybe. But we put something out that was quite innocent, but we did get a call from Kensington Palace in the end after it, which eventually led to us taking it down. I won't go into too much detail on the topic of the content, but we played it in a very smart way, that it didn't leave us open from a legal point of view, but everybody got what we were talking about. So if you want to search Ryanair Prince William, I'll let you figure that out.
Awesome. Okay, now I need to read this because actually it's a quote. So in an interview for MarketBeat last January, you said, people go to social media for two main reasons. One is to be entertained, and the second is to escape from the shit show that's going on in the world.
Quote here too.
Yeah. So if we were to measure those two reasons, do you think the second one is winning right now?
I don't know. I think they both go hand in hand. It's hard to separate them. There's a lot going on, but again, even what's happening in the shit show of the world, people are talking and using creative ways to give their views on it. Even in times of war, you've seen on the front lines soldiers using the platforms in very interesting ways that did scare me and put me off myself, but it's how the youth of today are finding ways to talk about important topics. So I think they go hand in hand. There's no one that favors the other right now.
One last question and we're done. Somebody from the audience asked if the presentation is a la carte, like everything on Ryanair.
Everything is extra, yeah. You only got the standard one, so you can only put a little bag under and that. Everything else, I can give you a lot more, but it comes at a fee. Danos, you know about that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.